In 1943, hunter Carol Herrick went on a hunting trip about 10 miles around the town of Glastonbury, Vermont. 3 days later, his body was discovered, and around his corpse, authorities discovered massive footprints. Later, an autopsy confirmed that he had been squeezed to death. While the bizarre death shocked many, others weren't so surprised. Herrick had traveled into an area that had experienced strange, mysterious activity for centuries, an area that has become to be known as the Bennington Triangle. Located somewhat close to the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts, another area with strange activity, the Bennington Triangle is a region of southwestern Vermont in which several people went missing under strange circumstances between the years of 1920 and 1950. Given the name in 1992 by author Joseph A Citro, the area is renowned for having a variety of unexplained phenomena such as UFO sightings, paranormal activity, and Bigfoot sightings. While the area is not generally well defined, much of the activity seems to center around the ghost town of Glastonbury, once a town that was a bustling logging community. Around the mid-1940s, a series of high-profile disappearances raised questions as to what was happening in this area. On November 12, 1945, 70-year-old Mitty Rivers went on a hunting trip with 4 people in the area. As the men began hunting, Mitty and his son-in-law, Joe Lawson, were leading the men back toward camp. After some time, they reached a fork in the path, and Mitty decided to head a different direction. Mitty told Joe he'd only be gone for a short time and would meet up back with everyone at the camp. In a few hours' time, Mitty didn't return. There wasn't much concern at first though, as Mitty was an experienced hunter and knew the area well. However, soon the men set out to search for him, but with no luck. It wouldn't be long before the police and army were contacted, and hundreds began searching the area. However, after an exhaustive search for 8 days, the only thing found was a single rifle cartridge in a creek. Many speculate that he leaned over and the round fell into the water. It's important to point out that many weren't that concerned even weeks after the event. This is because Mitty was such a skilled hunter and survivalist. Many believed he would just turn up. However, no body was ever found, or evidence of any type of animal attack. Perhaps the most famous disappearance in the area was that of Paula Weldon, an 18-year-old college student. On Sunday, December 1st, 1946, around 1 year later, Paula Weldon went hiking on the Long Trail. She wore a bright red jacket, and the day she went for the hike, several people saw her leave. One older couple even hiked behind her for quite some time on the trail. She would eventually pull ahead, and that's the last she was ever seen. Paula didn't show up for classes, and soon a massive search was conducted for her. There was more than 1,000 people, including the FBI, who looked for her, and a reward of $5,000 would be given to anyone who could locate her. In time, there was no evidence ever found. It was as if she vanished from the face of the earth. 3 years after Paula's disappearance, James Tedford vanished. This could be the most bizarre of all who have gone missing in the area. Tedford lived in the area and resided at Bennington Soldiers' Home. On the night of December 1st, 1949, Tedford was returning home on a bus after visiting family. According to multiple witnesses, some who even knew him, Tedford was still on the bus, past the last stop before Bennington. However, when the bus arrived in Bennington, Tedford was nowhere to be found. His bags were still on the bus. This has led some to theorize he simply dematerialized somehow or was taken by something paranormal, as the bus made no other stops along the way. Others believe the witnesses' statements were inaccurate and they mixed up where they saw him. No trace of Tedford has ever been found. Paul Jepson was an 8-year-old boy who went missing on October 12, 1959. Paul was playing in his dad's pickup truck, and his mother left for a few minutes. When she came back, he wasn't there. A search was conducted, including bringing in tracking dogs, but unfortunately, Paul was never found. Many speculate the boy was abducted. Frida Langer is one case that occurred in the area where the body was found, but still questions remain. Frida was camping with family and friends on October 28, 1950. Langer and her cousin, Herbert Elsner, decided to leave the campsite and go on a hike. After a short time, Frida slipped and fell in some water. Rather than quit the hike, Frida told Herbert to stay put as she would run back to the camp and change quickly. Herbert waited for a while, but Frida never came back. As the camp was just a short distance away, Herbert went back to the camp, and to his surprise, Frida had never came back. Over the next few weeks, multiple searches were conducted in the area, with hundreds looking. Nothing was found. Then, in May 1951, Frida's body was found around 3 miles away. The area she was found was reported to have been already extensively searched. No cause of death could be determined, as her body had decomposed so badly. While the aforementioned disappearances and deaths are the most famous cases from the Bennington Triangle, it's important to point out there's been strange activity reported in the region for centuries and still to this day. According to Native Americans, the area is cursed, and they avoided it. In the 1800s, one famous story concerns a stagecoach going through the area. A stagecoach was going down a dirt road when it saw huge footprints in the mud. The stagecoach was forced to stop. Then, suddenly, a giant creature bum-rushed the stagecoach and knocked it over. The passengers could see the monster's eyes as it glared at them and then roared. After assessing its dominance, the beast ran into the woods. Sightings of the creature would continue, though, and typically it is described as a large, bipedal creature with dark hair. In addition to the sightings of a Bigfoot-like creature, other strange sightings have been reported as well. Many have alleged to see either orbs or UFOs, and some report paranormal activity. There's no question that the area has a spooky history, and some compare it to other places around the world that experience multiple types of unexplained phenomena. Examples of this include Skinwalker Ranch, the Hoy Baca Forest, and the nearby Bridgewater Triangle. Over the years, there's been several theories put forth to explain what happened with the individuals who vanished. One of the more popular theories is that during that time, a serial killer was stalking and killing people in the woods. Many believe this answers most of the questions, such as how people, often experienced hunters, vanished without a trace. Could a killer who knew the land been stalking and killing people who were alone? While it's certainly a popular theory, it doesn't explain some of the cases well, such as what happened to James Tedford on that bus. Some believe that these people simply got lost in the woods and disappeared due to the remoteness of the area. There's no doubt the area is extremely remote. Still, some of the scenarios involve people who must have been lured away or attacked somehow. Mitty Rivers would have known to shoot his gun if he was lost or injured himself. Frida Langer only had a short walk back to her camp. Neither of those cases tend to make much sense. People vanishing without a trace in the woods is certainly not a phenomenon that has stopped. The Missing 411 series, done by David Paulides, does an excellent job exploring strange disappearances in the woods. Many of the cases Politis reviews shares common characteristics with some of the cases discussed today, such as experienced hunters vanishing without a trace and hikers disappearing under very strange circumstances. This all raises the question, is something else happening? Many believe that either extraterrestrial or some other type of unexplainable phenomena is happening to people who vanish at this location. Perhaps the most popular theory in this realm is alien abductions. On the surface, it seems to make sense, as people could be taken quietly and with no one seeing. Some don't believe this though, and point out many alien abductions happen in towns and even highly populated cities. While we may never know what happened to those people, strange sightings continue in the Bennington Triangle today, and there's no reason to believe the activity will stop anytime soon.